This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Well, every moment of every day, we experience emotions. Comes up, kind of pilots us in many different ways. Now, consider what you feel and the emotions that may come up when you look at, let's say, a piece of creativity, a piece of artwork, or if you created it. We're going to start there with an art therapist that has given so much insight in the times we've gotten together with her as our professional of the year. She's even inspired creativity. We all have it. You know, if you're thinking, I can't draw, I can't do it. No, you can. You are creative. And what emotions come up? We're going to look into that today with Barbara Robertson. How's everything with you?
It's going very well, thanks. I've been having a lot of fun just kind of smearing paint on the wall in my new office. Actually, not directly on the wall, but on a surface I put up on the wall so that I can kind of do my thing. And, when my lease runs out or I decide I'm done, I can just untack it and carry it on to the next place.
How
So
big are we surface area? What are we talking about here?
let me just kind of my computer around. Can you see that?
Yes, I can. Wow.
It's about maybe 4 by 5 feet.
Way bigger than I envisioned. So thanks for showing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun to be able to kind of spread out past the edges on like the size that I'm usually using.
Hmm.
That gives me a part of what we're talking about is the mood that can show up in our artwork and the felt sense that we have when we're either making it or looking at it. And because it's so big, my felt sense when I'm creating like that is all about reaching and stretching.
Hmm. Now, I'll go a little bit deeper into this. When you go back to that piece, so it's been a couple of days, now you go back to it. How do you pick up? Are you picking up from where you left off, or now you got a totally different vibe and feel, and you start? It's almost like a fresh start.
Yeah, I actually try to pick up where I left off, and there is a challenge in that because I'm not necessarily in the same place that I was when I put the first part down.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you were kind of astute at how you looked at visual images, you could probably tell where it stopped first and what I added to it. Now, the nice thing about painting like this is I can go back over every inch of it. With acrylic paints, they dry so fast and they don't dissolve when the next layer hits. They stay right where they are. So you can cover or you can cover and partially scrape off. And so probably what I'm going to do is because, I can sit here across from it and glance at it when I've got computer work to do and just kind of see, is there some area that's feeling imbalanced? Is there some area that's feeling like it wants something else there? I
Hmm.
want to try to read its mind, so to speak.
Well, I guess it's kind of cool because, every minute of every day is technically different. So now you're viewing it in a different way when you go back to,
Yep,
working on it.
yep, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly.
So what are we looking at today?
So I brought 4 images. Some of them are photos from magazines, and others are copies of artwork that have been done by well-known artists. And I picked them and I put them in pairs because they give us a nice contrast in terms of mood and what you might feel as you're looking at those images and kind of inviting your mirror neurons to click in, which means you're kind of inviting yourself to feel what a person in that scene might be feeling. And that's
Hmm.
what in art therapy we refer to as our felt sense of what's in the image.
Can we see it?
Yeah, let me start my little slideshow here. Okay, can you see my screen?
I do not see your screen.
You do not see my,
Hmm.
oh, you know what? I always forget this part. There we go.
There we go.
One of these days, I'll I'll be quicker to pick that up.
I know the step you're talking about too, because I forget it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It happens, right? Okay, so on the left-hand side, on my left, is a scene of a couple of sailboats and maybe off in the distance, a really big square rigger. Um, Kind of
Hmm.
crossing over some really pretty good sized waves.
Yeah.
And the other image is of a man in a kayak or sort of a canoe, and he's got five dogs as his passengers. And it looks like he's just got one oar to steer that thing. And he seems to be smiling, but his face is so small in the overall scene, it's a little hard to tell. They're close to a riverbank, and there's a whole wooded, kind of forested area behind. So it's all branches and leaves and underbrush. And most of the dogs are also kind of making contact with us as the viewer.
Hmm. Yeah, they are looking this way. It's almost as if somebody, whistled and everybody, including the man in the canoe, heard it and looked this way.
Heard it look this way. Yeah. And there's something that kind of is catching my eye in terms of what kind of gestures those dogs are holding. What does that tell you about what they might be feeling in this moment?
Peace and serenity.
Possibly, except that they're all kind of attending to something over here. So my sense of it is that they have been feeling peace and serenity, and like maybe they heard that whistle, and now they shifted briefly into a state of alertness.
But it doesn't seem like it's a concern.
No, not alert of danger, not a danger
Yeah.
alert.
Just say it could have been, hey, Joe. And the dogs looked and he looked, and we're in a good place here, as opposed to the other picture of the sailboat traversing not a tidal wave, but what could be a challenging wave.
Pretty
And,
turbulent seas, yeah.
mm. And
Yeah, the waves aren't cresting, but they're definitely sort of burgeoning and then lowering. And the
my,
water in in the canoe image is so flat, so unruffled by any sort of motion that it's almost like glass.
my first thought after looking at the sailboat with the rougher water, and I think this is just normal to be thinking this, but all
Okay.
right, we're a little bit of a challenge there getting over that wave. What's coming next? So I'm thinking in the future, like, little, call it a loosely put here anxiety. Like, wow, that's if I was in that boat, I'd be like, yeah. And by the way, I look at a lot, coincidence or not, on social, I've gotten hooked up on a Facebook group called Boat Chaos. And
Okay.
it's a lot of the same kind of stuff where a boat goes out there and some of them have overturned.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of challenges. So that's what I'm feeling there. I don't feel from the other picture with the dogs, the canoe, and the man, there's no issues whatsoever. We're all good. We're just easily just there's not even a wave in the water. I mean, it's so like glass where you can see the reflection of everybody, including the dogs in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can tell they're just sort of gliding. You can see, a little bit of trail in the water where the boat has been,
Yeah.
but it's like, I mean, literally smooth sailing, except it's smooth canoeing. Where
Mm-hmm.
the other one, it really could be quite anxiety provoking to be on that boat. And for myself, it reminds me of an incident that happened to my daughter when she was on a college sailing team. She and a buddy were out in a 420, which is just a little two-man day sailor. And the water got rough, and they wound up doing something called pitch poling, which is where a wave comes right over the bow and causes the whole boat to do a somersault and
Oof.
flip upside down in the water. So all of a sudden they're underwater and the boat is above them. And it can be quite an experience of panicking until you kind of get your orientation to what just happened and realize that this is a small enough boat, we can turn it back over and get back in.
But even still, it's not like the man in the canoe with the dogs. You
Nothing
know?
like that. Yep, there's no way that that boat's going to overturn unless somebody decides to lean way over sideways, and that might be the only place. But it doesn't look like anything like that's going to happen because they're all kind of very straight spines, kind of upright.
Mm, point.
They look like they really, have got this balance thing down pat of being in this boat.
So for us looking at these two, very different feelings, and you get feeling from looking at both of these. Um, what's this exercise demonstrate?
Well, it kind of demonstrates that there are lots of different ways to look at artwork, to experience artwork.
Mm,
And I think when we go to a museum, there is always this little patch of information about who did it and when and what it's made of. And because the patch is there, I often sort of feel compelled to read it. And it took some intentional determination for me to just allow myself to step back and take in the image and see what my mind body felt in the presence of that image, which tells me a whole lot more about any meaning that it might hold for me than the name of the person I did it,
hmm.
or even the title of the image, because those are often kind of mysterious.
Like
And
I
when
want to look at the sailboat with the rougher water, and I want to say, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be there. And there's a part of me, the adventurous side's like, yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. Like I still have that inside, that deep inside thought of, well, okay, those waves are cool, but there, what else is waiting out there? And there's a little bit of, maybe some danger, but I think that's fundamental. We want to stay safe. The other picture, just, I'd be more than happy just being that man there, easy like Sunday, like Sunday morning, with the dogs. The dogs, they look happy, he looks happy, everything's good.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's interesting as you were talking about the one with the sailboat over kind of cresting over the wave. The image I got was of a roller coaster
Yeah.
as you're kind of going up, 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 and you hear that little cogwheel going crank, 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 crank as it
Yes.
pulls the car up to the top, and you beginning to have all your anxiety neurons going off. And then you hit the top and race down the other
Yep.
side, screaming for all you're worth if you like doing that. And it's a great rush. And I'm sure that, people who are really accustomed to sailing in all sorts of situations must have a similar experience of thrill.
100%. But the difference is with the roller coaster, you know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah,
The outcome is roller
yeah,
coaster is going to end, the ride's going to end and we're going to be okay and all of that. In this situation, we don't know what, a short of a tidal wave. We don't really know what's going to happen here,
yeah.
and
Right.
that's the fear of the unknown, but also maybe that's the other part of, what we do. And I'm doing it right here, worrying about something that never took place.
That's entirely possible. And the other thing is, we might have a sense of accomplishment after we get off the roller coaster of simply kind of having survived it. But you look around, and so has everyone else who's been riding it since it was built. But with a sailboat, you do get to develop a sense of your own competence to handle what comes up spontaneously because
I
you don't
get it.
always go flying.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
a sailor, so I can't, fully relate to that. But I guess if you were somebody that spent time on the sea, you'd be looking at that like, yeah, you're good with that. As long as you, know what you're doing, you should
right,
be okay.
right. And the more kind of disasters you survive, the more skill you've built at kind of staying calm in the
Yes.
next one and
Yep.
navigating your way through it, which is kind of a little bit of a parallel for life there.
Mm. Are you feeling what I'm feeling? Not that you have to, but I'm just curious what you're getting.
From these images,
Yeah.
um, I'm drawn to this sailboat, and I'm feeling like if I were in that boat with the dogs, there's a good chance that it might be hot and sticky,
Wow.
like
Hmm.
the August days
Yeah.
when it's a good thing you have an oar because you're not going anywhere if there's no breeze.
It's interesting that that's where you're going with that.
Well, that's kind of my sailing perspective, though I'm by no means any sort of an expert on sailing, but I have been out on a few sailboats and have co-owned sailboats with other people and have scared myself to pieces from time to time and live to tell about it. So there's kind of that draw to the one that has more active energy in it.
No doubt. It's exciting and it looks fun. But I am going to add, one other thing here, and I think this is where I'm I don't want to say stuck, but um, it's not a bright sunny day,
You're right. Yeah.
you
Yep.
know.
There are
So
definitely some clouds up there. There's a weather system moving in or out. Yes.
something's a little up there. Um, Maybe not to be concerned, but it's funny how you look at that the heat of the canoe picture. Um, I didn't even think of that, but it certainly could be true. Obviously, there's no wind because you would see it on the water.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe that might be uncomfortable. I don't know, but I never went there. I never, in my mind, I never went there. It just looks like this is kind of cute and fun,
Well, and that
relaxing.
is one of the things I love about looking at artwork because we each bring our own life experience to the
Yes.
experience that we're seeing depicted.
Hmm.
And that's going to influence, how we perceive what is there.
Well, it may also be things we've experienced in life,
Right.
that dictate what we're feeling when we look at different pictures.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty much kind of what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's influencing our interpretation a great deal.
I don't want to run out of time. I think you might have a couple more
I
pictures.
do have a couple more. Okay.
Hmm.
So these are images of two adult women, and we're kind of seeing arms crossed in a similar way, and there's a foot that's down over this one. The other one is kind of tucked behind this leg. One of the women is rock climbing, and it looks like she's pretty far up, and she is in a tricky position. While the other one is a Picasso painting from his blue period.
Hmm.
And that woman is, shall we say, kind of substantially built. She's blocky, but I don't have a sense that she's being depicted as overweight,
Hmm.
more that she has substance.
So what I'm getting is that woman, the Picasso, um, she's fretting. She's wrestling with something. There's some angst there. There's some worry where, and she's just sitting there. Could be in a living room, could be anywhere. Um, but there's some, let's say turmoil, but that there's something serious that she's wrestling with,
She,
whereby,
yeah, she's pondering something.
yes,
And
yes,
it does feel serious. Not, she doesn't have anything like a smile on her face. She
oh,
doesn't look relaxed at all. There's some tension there in how she's holding her body. She's almost kind of closed up the way one leg is over the other and the way the arms are, and one hand is kind of up over the face as if she's almost in a kind of protected pose.
yeah, contemplating, worried, whereby the other woman rock climbing in a challenging position, it would appear. Um, there looks like there's, there could be danger there. It looks like she's got it together. She looks well prepared with the equipment and everything. She has yeah, her mouth is open, but she's not, she might be saying, "Hey, what's up?" Or she's just, doing her thing. But the interesting, I'd rather be her than the other woman.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. She's got, and the rock climber has some energy. She's exerting herself and she's moving through this difficult terrain. She's not stuck, whereas it looks like the other one is almost made of stone.
Yes.
And she's gonna have some trouble getting out of that pose if she's made of stone. It might really be kind of an image of stuckness, whereas the other one is an image of navigating.
Completely. And even if you look quickly at the Picasso, it almost looks like she could be on the phone, which I'm trying to think of the blue period, what year that was. Um, probably no phone available. Um, but
Probably not.
it's like a challenging phone call. Like, what am I going to do now? Just not a good vibe. Where the other woman, again, she could be, 6,000 feet up on
Right.
that ledge, but she looks like she's got this. We're
She
we're
does
we're good.
look like she's got it. Yeah, and it's a little bit counterintuitive because at first glance, the picture of the rock climber looks like, oh, that's danger. And the other one looks like, oh, that's calm. But when
Yeah,
you start to pay attention to the cues, like the expression and what the muscles are doing, what the body is doing, you
hmm.
realize, oh no, that's not it at all.
It's funny how we both interpret it. The first you look at the. It seems like you'd rather be in the sailboat with the rougher water than on the calm water in the canoe with the dogs, where I'm the reverse. And looking at this, I'm feeling I'd rather be that rock climber. I'm detecting that maybe you'd rather be her too than the other woman that looks like she's dealing with some challenge, some turmoil.
That would be my impulse, my most spontaneous response. But
Hmm.
then looking more deeply into it, I'm really not sure.
I'm going to go with you on the not sure, but I'm gravitating away from that woman. The one that the Picasso. It's just not a good scene for me. Like I don't want to. That looks like just she's isolated. She's challenged.
Yes,
This.
I think you're right about that. I mean, she's kind of in this dark
Yeah,
atmosphere, yeah,
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, not at ease.
Right. Not. I'm not feeling that one. And I get what we're saying about the rock climber. Oh, some danger involved there, but she looks like she has it. She looks
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
again, well equipped, looks like she has experience. I think
Yeah.
I'd rather be her.
And sort of there's that competence again.
Yeah,
There's that, I've got this.
I've got this.
I've
And you
got
know what? Not to say that the captain of the sailboat on the rough water doesn't have it, but, I can't see his or her face. So I don't know.
right,
But
right,
this all
right,
goes back to the emotion that you feel.
right. Yeah, and another interesting way to look at those images um, would be to imagine that you're the boat in both images. What would it be like to be the boat being sort of lifted and tossed over the top of that, burgeoning wave in the ocean, or just gliding, barely in contact with the surface of that smooth, glassy water?
We're gonna have to press a pause button. I think I'm going to, and everybody else needs to process that. Oh, and then there's more. We're out of time. Oh
More,
my
but
gosh.
there's more.
I
Okay.
I never thought of making visualizing myself being that boat. I'm visualizing in it.
We really anthropomorphize everything if given half a chance. I mean, look at Pixar and Disney. What haven't they anthropomorphized? What haven't they turned into, a sentient being that has a role in a story?
Mm, wow. I would love to tackle these. Maybe next time we get together, we can recircle
Okay.
back or even find some
Awesome.
more images. I find this fascinating. What we both feel and you open up a whole new door visualizing that, you could be the boat.
Right. And in this one, you could be the light, you could be the cloud, you could be the sky, you could be the doorway, you could be the person in the doorway, you could be the dome.
Mm. This is why you're fabulous at what you do, because I just didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that. I
I
thought of
want,
more.
yeah. I'd love to invite anybody listening to just put that on and play with it once in a while. When you're someplace and you notice something, just ask yourself, what would it be like to be that road, to be that tree, to be
Hmm.
that building?
Um, interesting thought of how that might be, because we're all wired to be safe, right? So, and that's, from the beginning of time. What did I do
Right.
in both of these pictures? Where is my comfort? Where is my safety? I didn't look at the dream part about it. Hey, I'm the light shining through. I'm that bolt of lightning. Didn't even think of that. Hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Uh,
in your imagination, you can give yourself permission to be that bolt of lightning, and nobody else has to know that you've ever been a bolt of lightning.
of course, of course. But what do I go back to? The fundamental of just what can I do to stay safe in these two sets of images? Can you unshare? Because we want to put your website down at
Oh,
the bottom
yeah.
on screen. Our engineer is very picky about that.
There
Um,
you go.
and your website is what? Please share.
My website is robertsonarttherapyllc.com. Just spell it all out, no dots or ats or anything like that. And my email is B as in Barbara, Robertson, Robertson .atr@gmail.com.
Always great talking with you. You really make us think. Yeah, and this is what it's all about, using creativity to get kind of inside your mind and process emotions. And interesting exercise today. Really has been.
And to kind of, enjoy the ride.
I wish I did this from the beginning in thinking of what I could be the boat, because now I want to be the boat on the water, with the waves,
Oh, there you go.
right?
And you can do that all week wherever you go, whatever you notice.
Totally different way to look at things.
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
cool. All right, we'll
Okay.
catch up next time, Barbara.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.